Hey there, Chano here. Welcome to another video. Today I want to discuss limiting beliefs that I hear a lot when talking to people about learning new things and making themselves smarter. Things like, oh, I'm just not that smart, my memory is horrible, or my brain just doesn't work that way. And I find this so frustrating because I know that you can do so much more than you think. So if you watch all the way through this video, you'll learn about 5 amazing facts about your brain that will help you remove these fake limitations that you set on yourself. So let's get into it. Okay, the first fact is that your brain's learning capacity will actually expand throughout your entire life. So we used to think that your brain stops learning in late adolescence, and then we used to think that your brain stops learning midlife, but now we know that it can expand throughout your entire life, and this is because of something called neuroplasticity. So this means that our brain can be shaped by our actions our entire life. It will learn to adapt to the demands that you place on it. Eleanor McGuire, a neuroscientist at the University of London, conducted a study of London city taxi drivers, which is an odd topic, but this is because she wanted to see the effect on memory that taxi driving has, and it turns out that it has quite the effect. See, London taxi drivers have to take a test of their knowledge of the streets, and it's so much information that it usually takes 2 years to prepare for it and to take the test. When the study concluded, it was found that taxi drivers had a much larger hippocampal volume, which basically means that they were much better at remembering things. So this means that the brain actually grew in size based on the cognitive demands that were placed on it. And that means that you can change your brain to a huge extent. If you continue to learn throughout your life, your brain will continue to expand. It's insane. I gotta pause there for a second because that's so exciting to me. Then again, this can be kind of scary because if you close yourself off to learning new things and claim that you're past that part of your life where you're, the part of your life where you were learning, or maybe you're not smart enough or whatever it may be, you deteriorate your brain, since your brain will again adapt to those less demanding circumstances. I want you to think of it like this. Every time you learn something new, your brain makes a new synaptic connection. And each time this happens, your brain physically changes. It upgrades your hardware. The complex web of neurons can be rewired to form new connections, which explains why people have become fully functioning with half a brain. The other half rewires itself, makes new connections, and takes over every needed task. But you don't need to lose half a brain to start making new connections and start learning new things. It can be super powerful for you. Okay, the second fact about your brain is that you actually have a second brain. You have gut neurons, essentially brain cells in your gut. You actually have neurons in your gut. Scientists call this the enteric nervous system, or ENS, and they're finding more and more about the connection between your gut and your brain. In the last decade, we've found out that this link does a lot more than previously thought. The gut microbiome affects your digestion, your mood, your health, and even how you think. We have different microbiomes based on the way you were raised, like if your family struggled when you were younger or if you were more privileged, then your gut microbiome actually was constructed differently, which means that your brain was then constructed differently, which is kind of crazy. There's no benefit to one or the other, but it's just crazy to learn about this gut connection, right? So how can you use this gut connection to benefit yourself and, remove those limitations we were talking about? Well, it turns out that, no surprise, nutrients make a huge difference in the way that we function on a day-to-day basis, because the items that you consume change the gut and in turn change your brain. And this is because we found that the ENS communicates to each other in a very similar way that the brain does. So they can actually send signals to each other from the brain to the gut. Meaning that if you supply your gut with subpar food, then you also supply your brain with subpar fuel. And this ends up affecting your memory, your intelligence, your stress levels, and a lot more. So you may be thinking, what foods are the best foods for me to be eating to get my brain in tip-top shape? Well, do not worry, I'll be making a video on all those foods very soon. Okay, fact number 3 is that it's estimated your brain can store 2,500,000 gigabytes of information, or 2.5 petabytes. Not terabytes, petabytes. Scientists actually just call it virtually unlimited because you'll never be able to reach your own brain's potential. So you can use this to supercharge your brain, become a memory master. So there are actually memory competitions where people compete to see who can remember things the best. And when some of the top guys were asked how they got their memory, they actually laughed and said, I thought that my memory was below average before I started doing the memory techniques that are used in the field. So before you say that you have a terrible memory, think about whether or not you actually have tried to better your memory. Seriously tried. Looked at these memory techniques that the best use and try to do them yourself. Rote memorization is the technique that you probably have used before. It's where you just repeat things over and over again until your brain is finally like, all right, remember this thing that you're telling me 8,000 times over. But how long does that really last? For me at least, is 2 weeks go by and it's all gone. So there are a bunch of memory techniques that I'll probably make a video on in the future. So throw me a comment if you'd like to hear those. Okay, the next fact is that we only use 10% of our brain. Just ask Morgan Freeman.
Most human beings only use 10% of their brain's capacity.
So yeah, I take back all the stuff that I said in that first fact. You're just an idiot, so don't even bother. I'm kidding, of course. Dr. Barry Gordon of Johns Hopkins University said the idea that we only use 10% of our brain is so wrong that it's almost laughable. You use 100% of your brain, and this myth is just used to make crazy Hollywood plots about possibilities that could happen if we were able to use 100% of our brain. Unfortunately, this does not mean telekinesis, but it is still very exciting about your brain's potential. I want you to think of it like this. You have all of the power of your brain available right now, and it's your choice on how you use it. It's just like our body. Every body part has a function, and how you use those body parts is up to you. Obviously, athletes use those body parts to a pretty high standard. And of course, you don't have to go out and be an athlete, but what you can do is go out and there and be a brain athlete and really train your brain to be the best that it can be. Okay, and my final fact is that the human brain is far better than the best computer ever created. It can handle a lot of information every second and processes it all faster than any computer that we've ever made. And that means a lot of information, up to 10 to the 16th power every second. You can use this to learn in smarter ways. Your brain is a supercomputer, so treat it that way. Have you ever been reading and you lose your place, so you have to go back and you have to start like a page back or even more sometimes? Well, that's because you are boring your mind. It's sitting there like, okay dude, come on, give me something else to do. I'm sick and tired of this book when you read it this slow. So take up things like speed reading, where you challenge your brain to read at the fastest rate possible. There's tons of resources online about all the ways of learning better, but my favorite is the book Limitless by Jim Kwik. He talks about the right way to study, how to get more energy, how to remember more, how to speed read, and so much more. So check that out, the link is in the description. So those are my 5 facts about the amazing organ that we have right here in between our ears. I hope you enjoyed me talking about it, and I hope that I've inspired you a little to learn something new. Maybe learn how to speed read like I was talking about. I actually haven't done that, so I guess I'm being a little bit of a hypocrite, but maybe you can beat me to it. As always, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you liked the video, and I will see you soon next week.